General Fidel Ramos, former President, Republic of the Philippines. Mr. Jose Nonoy Yulo, President of the Chamber of Commerce of the Philippines Islands. Mr. Mohammad Idam Nawawi, Group Chief Executive Officer of Axiata, the title sponsor of the ASEAN Leadership Forum, distinguished guests, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning and a very warm welcome. At the outset, I would like to extend a very special welcome to our guest of honor this morning, His Excellency General Fidel Ramos, to this 14th ASEAN Leadership Forum. We are honored, sir, with your presence with us here this morning at this forum, now in its 14th edition. The ASEAN Leadership Forum brings together leaders from government, business, academia, and civil society to share insights and knowledge, exchange ideas and information, and promote dialogue and better understanding in ASEAN. As ASEAN gears up to celebrate its 50th anniversary on 8 August 2017, there must be a greater commitment to forge an ASEAN consciousness among the people of ASEAN. A sense of belonging, a sense of purpose, a sense of mission, if we are to be successful in achieving a people-centered ASEAN. We hope this forum can contribute to the robust debate on ASEAN's future, especially on how we can build this people-centered ASEAN vision for the people of ASEAN, and not just an ASEAN only for government and business. As ASEAN marches towards its 50th birthday, we need to redouble our efforts to make ASEAN meaningful and relevant to all the peoples of ASEAN, and to create a greater public awareness of ASEAN. ASEAN consciousness needs to be inculcated in our future generation from young, so that tomorrow's generation can have a Think ASEAN mentality when they grow up. I'm pleased to announce that we in Malaysia are following in the footsteps of the Philippines in establishing an ASEAN society to promote the people-centered ASEAN. And this, President Ramos, is following your good steps as you are chair of the ASEAN Society in the Philippines. Nevertheless, we need to pay tribute to the leaders of government and business, past and present, including President Ramos, who have done so much to bring about the ASEAN community. Today, we shall deliberate on how ASEAN business and ASEAN society can benefit from closer regional integration. Looking back, ASEAN has achieved a lot over the past 5 decades. These achievements can perhaps be summed up in the 4 Cs: the ASEAN Charter, ASEAN connectivity, ASEAN community, and ASEAN centrality. 50 years of achieving peace and regional stability is another key achievement of ASEAN. Going forward, ASEAN needs to focus on the 4 Is and 4 Es. The 4 Is being inclusive development, innovation, infrastructure, and inequalities. And the 4 Es being economic competitiveness, environment, energy, and education, and human capital development. There is also a greater need for civil society, academic institutions, and think tanks to be involved in the ASEAN process and participate in community building in ASEAN. I believe that ASEAN needs to also accord priority to achieving the UN Sustainable Development Goals, the Agenda 2030. The SDGs requires a tripartite partnership between government, business, and civil society. Together, we should develop an ASEAN roadmap towards achieving the UN Agenda 2030. Finally, I would like to express my deep appreciation to all the distinguished speakers and moderators who have taken time off to attend our forum. I must also thank the Chamber of Commerce of the Philippine Islands, in particular the President, Mr. Jose Yulo, and your team for being our co-host and for the support extended to us in organizing this conference, and also to the Asia Solidarity Economic Council of the Philippines for being a supporting organization. Last but not least, a big thank you to all our strategic partners and sponsors, Axiata, the Hong Kong Economic and Trade Office, and the QI Group. Finally, to all participants, thank you for being with us here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Tan Sri Dr. Michael Yeo. Next, we would like to invite our title sponsors for the 14th ASEAN Leadership Forum, Mr. Mohammad Ilham Nawawi, Group Chief Corporate Officer of Axiata Group Berhad, to present his introductory speech. Mr. Mohammad Idwam.
His Excellency, General Fidel Ramos, Honorary Chairman, ASEAN Leadership Forum, and former President of the Philippines, Tan Sri Dr. Michael Yeo, Chairman of the ASEAN Leadership Forum and CEO of ASEAN Strategy and Leadership Institute, Mr. Jose Luis Yulo Jr., President, Chamber of Commerce of the Philippines Islands, Honorable Ministers, Excellencies, distinguished speakers, participants, a very good morning, magandang umaga. Before I start, please allow me to convey a personal message from Tan Sri Jamaluddin Ibrahim, our President and also Group CEO, who regrets not being able to be with us this morning. He has requested for me to deliver the opening remarks on his behalf. Yeah. So, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it gives Axiata great pleasure to once again become the title sponsor and partner for this ASEAN Leadership Forum for the 8th consecutive years. So we almost make the whole ASEAN round. So 2 more to go. As a regional entity with major investment in 10 countries, 5 of which are in ASEAN, namely in Malaysia, Indonesia, Singapore, Cambodia, and Myanmar, it is a great honor for us to be a part of ASEAN, celebrating now its 50th year since its founding. Now, as a long-term and significant investor in the region, we believe the full potential of ASEAN. I mean, everybody almost knows the facts that ASEAN GDP is a $2.4 trillion economy and has been growing at an annual growth rate of 5.3% between 2007 and 2015. If ASEAN were a country, it would be the 6th largest economy in the world. Yeah. The ASEAN population is young, well-connected. 40 to 50% of ASEAN are under 30 years old, out of which 90% have some form of access to the internet. So it's a very well-connected region. The ASEAN's literacy rate is also very high at 92%, which is 6% higher than the global average. Right? So we have a very good opportunity in ASEAN. The ASEAN's ICT sector has evolved at a phenomenal pace within the ASEAN members, and they have successfully articulated ambitious goals within their respective countries or to become on the digital economies. So we have a very good formula for ASEAN as a region to become a very successful country. Maybe not country, maybe a successful bloc. Yeah? Now, last, we have the ASEAN Economic Community, or AEC, which was launched in 2015, had a noble idea, which is to create a market of over $2.6 trillion with 622 million people. So it's a very big opportunity that we're looking at ASEAN. And as an investor in ASEAN, we see this full potential of ASEAN to invest even more. However, we also note that the reality is that progress toward regional economy integration is not easy. As we move into the digital world, we need to move at an even faster pace with much more focus towards becoming a digital AEC. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the world around us is digitizing at such an unprecedented rate. In almost every sector, from transportation, banking, healthcare, education, digital disruption is happening, and if we are not careful, it's hollowing out the traditional industries. Yet, such creative digital disruptions are the engines of new growth. Our young digital entrepreneurs now have a global market at their feet. Rural communities have the ability to reach out to the outside world, and our children have access to the best education content across the globe. This is the digital economy. ASEAN is now at the edge of the digital economy revolution. The potential gain, if we get this right, ASEAN could unlock a cumulative of $1 trillion in additional GDP by 2026. Allow me to offer three perspectives which we think in Axiata are the imperatives to enable the digital economy in ASEAN. First, we think that we need to build a ubiquitous broadband infrastructure, and this is a fundamental building block for the digital economy. As an indication, ASEAN is ahead of the world in terms of mobile penetration at 86% versus 66% globally. However, in 4G, we are lagging behind at 5% versus a global penetration of 23%. So we were ahead when we mobile penetration, but when it comes to mobile broadband, as a region, as a block, we are behind. So as operators like Axiata, we will continue to invest heavily to ensure affordable mobile broadband is available to all. However, there are some critical industry issues to be resolved. More spectrum is needed and made available at reasonable cost. New regulations, policies need to be developed in consultation with the operators and investors, of course, to ensure long-term sustainability of the industry, which is currently under threat. So this, ladies and gentlemen, has to be a national agenda. Secondly, it's about creating a level playing field between the new and the old economies. Digital disruptors do not operate at a level playing field. We have seen this happen in the communications industry, in the taxi industry, in the broadcasting industry, and even in the hotel industry. Today, the largest taxi company in the world doesn't own a single taxi. Everybody knows the fact, right? The largest hoteliers doesn't own a single hotel room. So the sharing economy is changing the whole world, how we do things, how we do business. So most authorities recognize the need to rebalance this equation, either via taxation policies or imposition of horizontal regulations, while some others look for opportunities to deregulate some of the existing industries. Third, a stronger harmonization of rules and regulations within ASEAN. In the borderless digital economy, the traditional geographical markets and political borders are disappearing. Right? Somebody can set a service somewhere in Europe, when one flick of a switch can sell to the whole world. Yeah? So there's no more border in the digital economy. Hence, there is an urgent need for us to align across the region some of the key legal enablers such as data privacy rules, consumer protection, cybersecurity, and data protection. These are very important when it comes to digital economy. We need to start thinking more as one digital economy, promoting intra-ASEAN investment and open markets, such as the removal of foreign equity limits for ASEAN investors and gradual easing of policies favoring domestic and state-owned enterprises. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, since 2008, Axiata has invested over $23.4 billion in our operating countries in ASEAN, in both capital and operational investment, to deploy the latest mobile communications technologies, often being the first to do so in each of the country. Now we are serving over 65 million customers in ASEAN. Globally, we are serving over 320 million subscribers. With our vision of advancing Asia, Axiata is, as a regional communications group, is committed to play our part to help ASEAN members to achieve the fullest potential that the digital economy can bring. Last but not least, it gives me great privilege to be here with you today. This is indeed an exciting time for ASEAN and for the realization of the digital AEC. We would like to thank ASLI for giving us the opportunity to be part of this program, and to the government of the Republic of the Philippines for hosting and making this event successful. Have a great and fruitful conference ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Muhammad Idham Nawawi, for the great insight. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, for the next main event, I would now like to hand over the time to Mr. Jose Luis Yulo Jr., President of the Chamber of Commerce of the Philippine Islands and former Secretary General, ASEAN Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Mr. Yulo.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege to introduce our beloved permanent President of the Republic of the Philippines, His Excellency Fidel V. Ramos.
Thank you very much, Chairman Jose Yulo Jr. of the Chamber of Commerce of the Philippine Islands, for your kind introduction. But first of all, I would like to thank you for this privilege of being your special speaker on this first day of our leadership forum. Believe it or not, there are 3 concurrent, simultaneous ASEAN forums going on today. As you well know, there is that one of the leaders who are the heads of state and government, starting today with some preliminaries by the ministers. Then there is the ASEAN Business Advisory Council among the business leaders, led by Philippine chairman in the name of Joey Concepcion, our good friend. And the least known is this one. The Leadership Forum is sponsored by ASLI. Let's give a big hand, Michael Yeo. And Akshata, let's give a big hand to Group Chief Nawawi. And the Chamber of Commerce of the Philippine Islands, headed by Jose Yulo Jr. But be that as it may, I have a feeling that this forum is not only the most senior forum. Anybody above 89 years old here? Okay, that's me. The most experienced in terms of government experience, educational experience, business experience, and leadership experience. It's this group. And in that spirit, may I ask you nice people to please stand up. Sige na. This is the Philippines, and you have to conform with some of our crazy traditions. Having done that, will you extend your right hand and your left hand, and to the right and left, back and forth, and shake the hand of the person you find there. Come on, this is the way we do it. There you go, over here. And after shaking hands, we're not through yet. Will you please embrace and kiss each other con todo amor? Sige na, doon. No. Girls and girls, boys and boys, prohibited. We don't have a law to that effect here. Sige na, make a new friend. Kiss a stranger, don't kiss your wife. Over there. But you see, dear friends, this is how we should be now doing it in ASEAN after 50 years. Initially of troubled existence, but throughout more of the last 25 years, earmarked by friendship, harmony, and cooperation. Kindly take seats. Let me tell you that this forum is not only timely, it is most relevant. On the eve of the 30th ASEAN Leaders Summit, it is also essential in the sense that as members of ASEAN in this area of Asia and the Pacific, we are faced with serious challenges that need to be addressed by an integrated, united, and harmonious ASEAN. Okay? Yeah, so will you kiss each other con todo amor? Now, what is the first key challenge that this senior citizen discerns? It is to ensure that ASEAN, with 10 independent nations and a combined population of 625 million people. It's not 620. Your statistics were last week. Ours are counting every day, more, especially in the Philippines. Because we are not only productive, but we're also very reproductive. Our big area remains globally competitive and resilient in the light of worldwide uncertainties that have been created by the superpowers. ASEAN integration, which was supposed to have been completed, economic integration, and 2015 has not been totally complied with, and it's still an ongoing concern for all of us. And so it remains a top priority. But I would say that AEC is still on track. But we need to move forward because there's a second pillar that's looming in the horizon. In fact, we should have started it already this year, as mandated by the ASEAN Charter. And that is the socio-cultural pillar, which, on the face of it, may seem to be the easiest to do. But for us who have been there and done the preliminaries, the socio-cultural pillar, the second pillar of ASEAN itself, is going to be the most difficult because it has to do with NGOs, people's organizations, civil society, and even think tanks and separate experts, professors, and geniuses, like some of the people with white hair here on the front row. And so, let us start the second pillar of socio-cultural for all of ASEAN with this meeting here today. Otherwise, it may never get started because individuals, private organizations, NGOs are usually bashful and may not take the lead unless prodded by government policy or the government officials themselves. But dear friends, the policy is already there in the charter, very clear. And this second pillar of ours will lead to a most essential third pillar, which is the political and security pillar, which must underpin the development, the sustainability, the peace, security, and eventual prosperity of ASEAN itself. I cannot overemphasize the importance of this meeting of civil society led by Ashley, Axiata, and the Chamber of Commerce of the Philippine Islands. And we thank you for taking the lead, you guys, in putting this up and inviting some of the geniuses in ASEAN who have been left out of the main conferences. Now, I mentioned one key challenge, and to me, the next big challenge facing ASEAN is to maintain continued peace and stability in Southeast Asia, and more importantly, in the larger area of the Asia Pacific. Over the last 70 years, peace and stability in our Asia Pacific outer region has been maintained by the force of U.S. military power. But it is time, now that ASEAN is, I would call, a compact group with its own maritime and military self-defense forces, plus some of the powers who call themselves mini powers, mid powers, or superpowers. But so it is time to replace Pax America, which has been there for more than 70 years already, since August 1945, when the peace agreement was signed in Tokyo, ending World War II in the Pacific. That we, who are big and important enough in our region and in the Asia Pacific, assume the responsibilities for providing peace, law and order, and especially stability in the bigger region of the Asia Pacific. And we must therefore contribute our capabilities, whatever they are. But if we put them all together, as already mentioned by the speakers before me, we are the fourth or the fifth or the sixth largest power economically and possibly also militarily in the world. Anyway, this is the future that is out there for us of ASEAN. This is our potential. And it is time that we feel that this is part of the importance of ASEAN among the other 195 member nations of the United Nations. Now, what else? The equally daunting challenge facing ASEAN and the little powers, the mid-powers, and the superpowers know this better than we do because they are the ones who are responsible for most of global warming. That is the common universal threat that faces all of us, big and small countries. In fact, climate change because of global warming is now upon us. You out there in Thailand, Sumatra, and parts of Myanmar have suffered from super tsunamis. Christmas Day, I think it was the year 2005, when you got hit and hundreds of thousands of people perished. In our case, in the Philippines, and also a little upward, Super Typhoon Haiyan, or Yolanda as we call it, in November 2013. Can you imagine a gust of wind hitting you at 325 kilometers per hour? It's like being hit by a locomotive train. And this is what happened in our eastern Philippines. 6,000 people died in the space of 24 hours. And what else? If we're looking at other parts of the world, Africa, for instance, parts of the Middle East, and South America, desertification is taking place because of extreme heat, no rainfall, killing the farmlands, and forever eliminating the prospect of food production. And all of this, the lack of water, possible lack of food production bases, causes the spread of endemic diseases. Call them pandemic diseases, carried from place to place, traditionally by little flies, mosquitoes, cockroaches, rats. But now, the disease carriers are people. You. And you. And you. And you. Because we all travel so much. And can you imagine a disease like Ebola ending up in Texas? Did a fly that far, 12,000 miles, to get from the origin to the place where the victims were infected? It's a different world now. And it calls for different solutions. Many call it an independent foreign policy. We new friends. Very good. That's what my dear departed sister, Senator Leti Ramos-Yahani, an experienced diplomat, has been calling it. But we have been quarreling about it. I'm sorry, Leti, she just passed away. I call it instead an interdependent foreign policy, which means that if you have won many friends already, like the friends you have in ASEAN, in APEC, in our neighborhood of East Asia. By all means, let's make new friends out there in other parts of the world, but let us not discard our dear, devoted, loyal partners who have been with us in harmony, in peace, in stability over the years, because by doing so, we may never get back to them again. The common threats I have mentioned call for a greater kind of cooperation among the nations of the world, especially we who are the neighbors. The Chinese say, prosper thy neighbor. And we in the Philippines say, thank you very much for your help. And likewise, we should say as ASEANs to China for helping to prosper all of us. But at the same time, we must be aware of the other dangers that do not come from nations anymore. This is coming from Mother Nature. And if these threats are not dangerous enough, we must consider the destructive power of the new weapons of mass destruction. 70 years ago, the atom bomb was dropped first on Hiroshima, then Nagasaki, in the space of 2 weeks, by a B-29 bomber. Now, the devastating effect of a super nuclear explosive system delivered by an ICBM that travels twice the speed of sound with a range of 12,000 miles or halfway around the globe is so much more devastating to comprehend compared to the first little A-bomb that was dropped that killed 140,000 people in Nagasaki, in Hiroshima, in one night, plus a few days later because of radiation sickness. And there are some crazy people around the world who want to press their nuclear button. But we must understand that there are nuclear buttons all over the world. And we must consider ourselves lucky in ASEAN that the U.S., which is the most powerful military force, including the possession of this nuclear missile, long-distance bomb systems, considers that they must only use their nuclear systems for a second strike, meaning when they detect one already up in the air, they will try to shoot it down so that it will fall harmlessly into the ocean. Let's be thankful for that. Otherwise, we might see in our lifetime the destruction of our mother planet Earth, including everybody on board, by the mistake of some war freaks who like to play with red buttons. And by pressing this, they think that they have a new kind of New Year's Eve, where everything is exploding all over them. Dear friends, I hate to give you such a dim picture of the future. But of course, as already explained by the other speakers before me, there is such a rosy future ahead of all of us. and let ASEAN take the lead in trying to maintain peace, order, the rule of law, stability, and eventual prosperity in our part of the world and other regional organizations. Please follow. Because we are probably the best organized regional grouping in terms of the economic dimension, the socio-cultural element in spite of our diversity, and our politico-security experience. When ASEAN was being established in Bangkok by the 5 original members on the 8th of August, 1967, I want you to know where I was. I was at the border of Vietnam and Cambodia as a member of the Philippine Civic Action Group to Vietnam, trying to help the Vietnamese people, and our station was the terminal of the Ho Chi Minh Trail in South Vietnam, in the province of Tay Ninh, adjacent to South Vietnam's border with Cambodia, and we were subjected maybe every other night to a mortar attack coming from the Cambodian side because they had been infiltrated by the North Vietnamese to hit the what we call the Free World Forces, and we were part of that, across the border. They were safe, but we were not. And my father, who was trying to broker as the Philippine signatory to ASEAN, expressed, of course, some apprehension about my safety. But I said, no, please don't worry about me, because our mission is not combat. Our mission is civic action, which is to help the people that need help develop their communities by providing engineering assistance, medical help, as well as community development advice. Anyway, I told him, I'm inside a very safe bunker. It's really a foxhole, over which we put some sandbags. But is this the kind of future that we of ASEAN would still like to have? That was the situation 50 years ago. I would say, I don't think so. Our younger people from the Philippines want safety at home, safety in their workplaces, and safety in the streets. And I'm sure that is also their vision for their friendly neighbors who live in the countries of ASEAN, but also those that live in the bigger countries. I will not mention their names anymore, except that their capitals are Beijing, Tokyo, Moscow, and Washington, D.C. Now, there is hope for us. And it is in this little flyer. If you don't have any copies, please get some from Delia Domingo, who is our civil society, ASEAN Society of the Philippines President, or Michael Yeo, or Jose Yulo. This is the 17 Sustainable Development Goals promulgated by the United Nations back in September 2015, where all of the 95 member nations, including the superpowers, agreed, signed, and committed themselves to spending as much as $3.5 trillion to $5 trillion US dollars a year to make it happen. We have a big contribution as ASEAN to this global aspiration, and so let's go for it. We have 13 years from now to do it. But let us begin with ASEAN, trying to move the pillar to which we belong, and that is the socio-cultural, with overflows into the economic, and that includes all of you, but also the political security. And from the Philippines, I can already see 19 retired generals here present in this audience who will help provide that aspect of it. As we know, no matter how prosperous a nation is, no matter how wealthy a person is, but without a security underpinning, that prosperity, that wealth is only temporary. We must make sure that our political security pillar will also be put in place and fortified as time goes on. I know, because I was your eminent person to help draft the ASEAN Charter representing the Philippines 12 years ago. And that is still, now at this time, an even more important need for all of us. Lastly, let me reiterate our caring, sharing, and daring for our foreign visitors, especially for our ASEAN neighbors. Caring, sharing are easy enough to do. That is our native culture, wherever we come from. But daring is something else. Because daring means to take common action for the common good. Daring also means to protect the environment instead of abusing it. Daring also means to stand up for the younger people so that they may enjoy a better future than ours, the elders. And lastly, and this is very simple, daring means to give more than to take. So again, welcome to the Philippines. Thank you very much. And because I cut my speech short, you can download the whole material from our website, www.asean.ashley.chambercommercepi.com. You got it? Here it goes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for your words of wisdom and advice of how to become a better ASEAN. We would like now to invite His Excellency Fidel V. Ramos to present tokens of appreciation to our key sponsors who have made this 14th ASEAN Leadership Forum possible. First, I'd like to announce our title sponsors, the Axiata Group, represented by Mr. Muhammad Idham Nawawi, Group Chief Corporate Officer. Next, we would like to also thank Ms. Donna Lacaros, Executive Chairperson of QI Philippines, for sponsoring this event. Let's just give us a warm applause. We would like to also convey our heartfelt thanks to the Hong Kong Economic and Trade Office, our presenting partners and luncheon and dinner hosts. Now, we would like to call upon Mr. Idham Nawawi, accompanied by Tan Sri Dr. Michael Yeo, to present a memento to His Excellency Fidel Ramos for his esteemed presence with us this morning. Thank you, Excellency. Once again, we would like to record our special thanks and appreciation to His Excellency Fidel Ramos, former President of the Philippines, for being with us this morning. May I now invite His Excellency to the VIP holding room. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give him a warm send-off with a round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, with that, we have concluded the opening session of the 14th ASEAN Leadership Forum. I would now like to invite you for a round of morning refreshments served at the foyer. Please note that we will be commencing our next session at 10:30 a.m. with a ministerial roundtable entitled Pushing the Envelope for the ASEAN Economic Community. Thank you.